Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the demand for blood donations usually increases during the holiday season, so healthcare workers are asking you to consider giving the gift of life for people in need. And an organization based here in Perry County continues working hard to rebuild and repair homes for the ones who lost so much to floodwaters this past summer.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
6:31 here. I'm Dakota Makris, and it's a soggy Wednesday morning, unfortunately. Good morning to you. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast. And Brandon, you know, at least it's, well, wherever you are, there you are. At least it's a good morning.
It's mild. It's a nice morning out there, except for the weather.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, you know, like we always say, it's Kentucky weather. You never know how to dress for it.
You're exactly right with that one. But again, rain gear is your friend today. Please do not forget it at home.
Yep.
You're going to step out the door and you're going to immediately regret it. But it is on the milder side out there this morning, temperature-wise. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar, and you see a lot of green, yellow, and orange. Some of that could be rebels of thunder. Even seen some lightning in some of these storms yesterday. So again, just be extra careful this morning. Spread out across the region, but the heaviest bands moving through parts of Lake Cumberland out toward I-75 and into far eastern Kentucky. So again, just be aware of that. I-75 at London, very much I don't want to say fogged over, but visibility not great out there due to some heavy pockets of rain. So just be careful across the region. Some ponding water on some of those roads too. 54 in Jonesville to 64 over in Monticello this morning. So about a lot of 60s out there, and even Manchester up a degree to 57. So we're moving in the right direction. It's just going to be a slow process. Your breakfast forecast, just be ready. It's going to be soggy all the way through mid-morning. Might get a break by lunchtime, and then more rain chances this afternoon. Dakota?
Brandon, thank you. A Laurel County murder suspect is still on the run. Last month, a grand jury indicted Danielle Kelly on murder and assault charges. Officers say Kelly killed Tiffany Smith in a DUI crash on US 25. It happened in September of last year. 3 others were hurt. Police say Kelly could be in the South Laurel area. A Bell County man is facing serious charges following an incident that happened Monday night. Deputies with the Bell County Sheriff's Department were called to a home in the Newtown Park community. When they arrived, the victim told police she was raped by 25-year-old Randall Jones of Pineville. She says Jones refused to let her leave and held her against her will for several hours until she was able to escape and call police. Jones was arrested and taken to the Bell County Detention Center. He is charged with rape and unlawful imprisonment and was also served an outstanding warrant. Well, crews are working to determine what caused a deadly fire in Bath County Tuesday morning. Well, the fire happened at a home on Old Sand Road in Sand Lick. 74-year-old William Fields died, but his wife was able to make it out. She was taken to a hospital to be treated for injuries. Well, Kentucky is making strides when it comes to traffic safety. During the holiday season, transportation leaders say they see more crashes during the last 5 years, and more than 5,000 of them, the driver was impaired. But this year, numbers for the final months of the year so far are lower. Kelsey Soto takes a look at the numbers ahead of the Christmas travel season.
664. That's how many fatal crashes the Commonwealth has recorded to date. This time last year, there were already 753. Officials with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet say the data is trending lower than the last few years, and they will continue working to drop those numbers even lower.
We have many projects that are in progress right now that will be improving the arteries for our communities and increasing safety in that fashion.
KYTC provides weekly traffic reports about crashes, injuries, and even deaths to their engineers. This allows them to study and investigate areas of potential improvement.
We also have different things that we add to increase safety, such as rumble strips, delineators, and increased and improved signage that is also reflective. So there are many ways that we can always improve the safety for the traveling public, and we do that on an ongoing basis.
I also spoke with Kentucky State Police, who have been periodically hosting traffic safety checkpoints all across the state. KSP is working in conjunction with city police as well as county sheriff's departments to educate the public and try to prevent a tragedy. They tell me they're out looking for those life-saving measures, deterring drivers under the influence, stopping seatbelt evaders, and ensuring that those car seats are properly installed and in use.
It's horrible for these families when they lose a loved one at any time of the year. I think holidays, it ends up being even worse if that's even possible.
And while those holiday cheers may be celebrated with seasonal beers, all of these agencies agree there's no place for drunk driving in Kentucky. In Lexington, Kelsey Soto, WKYT.
The lowest number of deaths in the last decade was in 2013 when the state recorded 638 deadly crashes. AAA expects to release a report on driver behavior trends later this week. A new police and 911 facility in Moorhead is officially open. Governor Andy Beshear joined Rowan County officials for yesterday's ribbon cutting. Well, the new facility will serve the county as well as neighboring communities for training. The building includes a fitness area, K-9 unit, and a 911 dispatch center that doubles as a storm shelter. Moorhead Police Chief Derek Blevins says the new facility was much needed.
Our building was flooded, so we had offices and everything downstairs in our basement. We had to move all of those upstairs, so now we're just on top of each other.
Well, the governor also announced more than $87,000 for the resurfacing of a portion of Williams Branch Road and awarded $100,000 to Moorhead Rowan County Tourism to bolster the county's tourism industry. Well, during the holiday season, the demand for blood supply goes up. Therefore, a need for donors becomes a concern to blood banks everywhere, and the need for blood can come from so many different types of medical situations, whether it's cancer, trauma, or labor and delivery complications. The need for blood is always there. The technical coordinator of Bowling Green's MedCenter Health Blood Bank, Lauren Nickel, explains how quickly the need for blood can increase. Well, if you'd like to donate blood for the holiday season, make sure to make an appointment at organizations like Kentucky Blood Center. Well, this holiday season looks extremely different for many people across our region who were left without homes due to the flood. But one woman in Breathitt County says she has not lived in her home since the flooding back in the spring of 2021. Our Olivia Calfee has more.
This holiday season makes 2 years Deborah Hansford will be spending Christmas without her home.
I will still be living at my daughter's house and having Christmas with her and family.
In March of 2021, water rose nearly 3 feet in her house. Needing major repairs, she moved in with her daughter, while working with the Housing Development Alliance planning to build back. And then another flood hit.
In July, we had another flood, but that flood got to the ceiling of my house, and so therefore they couldn't build back.
Continuing to work with the HDA, they found property to rebuild her home out of the floodplain.
I'm so thankful from the very beginning, when it first started, the first hope that was there of getting a new home, to the last paint that's going to be put on.
Mindy Miller with the Housing Development Alliance says they have completed 40 muckouts since the flood, with 154 people still in the pipeline, and 28 people have reached out for new home construction.
We need as many volunteers as we can get, because when you look at the numbers of the people that need help, I think there are over 4,800 people who reported to FEMA that they needed shelter.
With Christmas a few weeks away, volunteer help has slowed down, but Miller says they will continue helping people as fast as they can for as long as it takes.
If you're a regular everyday person and you have your home for Christmas, be very grateful, and think about those folks that don't have that this time of year. You know, think of the folks who would love to be able to cook a Christmas dinner in their kitchen.
And while Hansford won't be able to cook in her kitchen this year,
I already told my daughter that we'd have Christmas next year at my house.
she is looking forward to next year. In Breathitt County, Olivia Calfee, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, Miller says she is hopeful volunteers will be back to help in full force during the spring, saying volunteers have already contributed more than 3,500 hours of labor since the flood. Well, Kentucky State Police partnered with the Pikeville and Hazard Applebee's for this year's We Care Tuesday. If customers ordered select items from these Applebee's locations, 50% of the proceeds went to KSP's Shop with the Trooper program, which helps underprivileged kids receive Christmas gifts.
now is more important time than ever with all the flooding and all the stuff. Funding, you know, is hard to come by for the program, and so having partnership with these businesses helps keep the program funded and continuing.
We Care Tuesday was held at the locations until the restaurants closed for the night.
.641 here on this Wednesday. We've been tracking heavy rain off and on throughout the night, and it continues this morning. So again, cannot stress enough, take your rain gear. You might not need it all day, but you're going to need it to start the day for sure. Temperatures, even with the rain, still very mild out there. 50s and 60s, 54 now Clintwood and Jonesville to 64 in Monticello, but you see a lot more 60s than 50s out there this morning. Your out the door forecast, we are going to feature temperatures that slowly creep up into the mid to upper 60s a little bit later on this afternoon. We're going to call it for 65, but I would not be surprised if we see those southwest winds push up to 66 or 67. Dakota?
All righty, Brandon, thank you so much. 642 still to come here on Mountain News this morning. The parents of Gabby Petito bring another person into their civil lawsuit against the parents of the man who took their daughter's life.